All right, let's get into it. We're heading to Cuba, but we're going to look past the classic cars and the colorful postcards. We're searching for something deeper, a kind of spiritual current that runs just beneath the surface of the island, a faith you can feel in the sea breeze and hear in the beat of a distant drum.
Look, this isn't going to be some dry academic lecture. Think of this more as a testimony, a way to try and understand a vibrant, living faith that has truly shaped the soul of an entire nation. We're going looking for that hidden pulse that keeps Cuba's heart beating.
I want you to picture this. You're on Havana's famous seawall, the Malecón, right as the sun is coming up. The waves are crashing, and right there on the pavement, you see what's left of a ritual. Some yellow flowers for love, maybe a few coconut shells for clarity. This isn't for tourists. This is a real, private conversation with the divine, and it happens every single day. So, that quiet conversation, it's part of what's known as Santeria, or more properly, the Regla de Ocho. And you have to understand, it's so much more than a religion. In a lot of ways, it's the glue holding Cuban identity together. It's this open secret that everybody knows is there, but whose true depths are only really understood by those on the inside. The whole story of this faith, it's rooted in this incredible act of survival. See, when enslaved people were brought to Cuba from the Aruba region of West Africa, they were flat out forbidden from practicing their religion. So what did they do? They did something brilliant. They hid their gods, their Orishas, right in plain sight, disguising them as the Catholic saints their masters were forcing on them. Just an unbelievable act of spiritual resistance. And out of that history, this incredibly rich spiritual world was preserved. So let's actually meet the Orishas. Who are these deities that were so vital, so important, that people risked everything to keep them alive? And what's so fascinating here is that each Orisha is a fundamental force of nature and life. So you've got Elegua, he's the trickster, the one who opens and closes every door in life, hidden behind the holy child of Atocha. You have Yamaya, the great mother, the ocean itself, syncretized with the Virgin of Regla. And then there's the beautiful Oshun, goddess of the rivers and love, and Shango, who is literally thunder, fire, pure masculine energy. And this quote from a practitioner just says it all, doesn't it? It's not that the gods control nature, it's that the sea is Yemaya. The thunder is Shango's voice. For believers, there's just no line between the spiritual world and the physical one we all walk around in. So, with the belief that deep, how do you even begin? I mean, it's not like you just decide to join one day. It is a profound, lifelong commitment, a personal journey that really does reshape your entire world. It's called the path of initiation.
You know, if you ever go to Cuba, you will absolutely see them. People walking down the street dressed head to toe in brilliant, stark white. That person is an Ayowo, literally the bride of the Orisha. For one whole year, they live in this state of purity, which is a symbol of their rebirth into the faith. It's this public declaration of a very deep, very private transformation.
Now, the initiation ceremony, it's called asiento, and it's intensely private. But we can talk about the core ideas. The initiate receives these sacred stones, the otanes, which basically become the physical home for their Orisha's energy. There's a powerful cleansing with special herbs called ewe. But the most important part? It's the exchange of ashe. That's the divine energy, the life force that connects absolutely everything. Okay, this brings us to maybe the most powerful, the most dramatic part of the faith. We've talked about belief. We've talked about initiation. But what about direct communication? This is where you encounter the raw, transcendent power of the drum. So, how do these massive forces of nature actually make their presence known to people? Well, the answer isn't written down in a book or found in a quiet prayer. It's found in a rhythm.
They speak through these three sacred bata drums, and these are not just instruments. The iya, she's the mother drum, leading the complex rhythmic conversation. The itotele is the one that responds to her. And the little okonkolo, it just keeps that steady, unwavering heartbeat. Together, the sounds they make are sacred language, with specific patterns that literally call out to each Orisha by name. And during a ceremony called a bembe, something absolutely extraordinary can happen. As the drums lock into a specific rhythm for an Orisha, a believer might suddenly be mounted, possessed, by that deity. Their own personality just vanishes, and for a short time, their body becomes a vessel for the divine. They dance, they move, they speak with the energy of the god itself. So you go from that intense spiritual moment, and you have to ask, how does a faith that was born in secret and is expressed through trance and ritual, how does that survive in the 21st century?
Well, today, Santeria kind of lives in two different worlds at once. It was born in the shadows, built on these tight-knit communities as a way to survive. But now it's a source of fascination for tourists, and there's a real risk of commercialization, where sacred things get turned into a show. And yet, at the exact same time, the faith has exploded beyond Cuba, and you'll find thriving communities everywhere from Miami to Madrid.
So what's the future then? As Cuba changes, as the whole world changes, what's the one thing that lasts? Well, the answer is in that concept we mentioned earlier, that eternal energy, the Ashe.
Think about it. Through persecution, revolution, economic collapse, and now globalization, the one constant is this: the Orishas are not some dusty relics in a museum. They are alive. You feel them in the offerings by the sea. You see them in the Iowa dressed in white, and you hear them in the sound of a drum carrying over a Havana neighborhood at night. The resilience is just breathtaking.
And that really leaves us with this final, powerful idea. This isn't a religion you just say you believe in. It's a faith you breathe, a faith you dance, a faith you defend. It is something that is deeply, unapologetically lived. And it really makes you wonder, in a world that never stops changing, maybe the most resilient force there is a faith that isn't just believed, but is truly embodied.